Hello, and welcome to Journey with Monarch Storytime with Victoria Beeler. Today, I would like to share with you a special person in history called Maria Sibylla Merian. Merian lived 1647 to 1717. She was an entomologist, a scientific illustrator, and an artist. Importantly, she was among the first to discover insects' transformations from eggs all the way to butterflies or moths. She was also among the first to directly observe insects and their natural habitats. She noted and she painted their ecological interactions, noting their host and nectar plants. A host plant is what the female butterflies or moths lay their eggs on, and then those eggs hatch into caterpillars. The caterpillars eat on the host plant leaves, so a host plant is a vital food source for the caterpillar's growth and transformation into an eventual adult butterfly or moth. So I would like to share with you some of her incredible books. She wrote 3 books. Her first book was called New Book of Flowers. New Book of Flowers was written in 1680. In this book, she paints flowers. And here is a hyacinth and a butterfly. And here's a daffodil. Carnations. Hyacinth. A bird. An iris. And this butterfly shown here is a type of swallowtail butterfly. Swallowtail butterflies are named after swallowtail birds, which have long tails. So this butterfly has a long tail as well. And here's a daffodil. And this butterfly looks almost like a comma or a question mark butterfly. Its wings are angular and it camouflages with tree bark. So it blends in very well with tree bark with its surroundings. Even though this book was written very long ago, it's still relevant. These butterflies were still alive back then. Here's another one. And a tulip. Hyacinth. An iris. And irises are a symbol of wisdom. Tulip. And in the back of the book, she summarizes all of her paintings in the New Book of Flowers. So her first painting consisted of a double hyacinth, the second painting a pomegranate, The third, a caper Spanish broom. The fifth, a tulip Hevelman. The next one, bunch flower daffodil, clove pink carnation, common garden hyacinth, garden poppy, bellflower with goldfinch bird, lily of the valley, tuberose, pheasant's eye, bearded iris, wallflower, Dutch rose, Turk's cap lily, common daffodil, garden auricula, peony, blue passion flower. And by the way, passion flower is a host plant for Gulf fritillary butterflies. Tulip Diana, tulip view, dog's tooth violet, common garden hyacinth, Persian iris, and grape hyacinth, larkspur, daffodil, and iris. Bluebell or squill, tulip Admiral d'Amour, and double fritillary, French rose, jasmine, and anemone. And on the back of the book, she gives all of her paintings in the new book of flowers. So Miriam was a very talented artist. Her next book was called The Caterpillar Book. The Caterpillar Book, the shortened title, was written in 1683, and this is the German edition. Here is a beautiful wreath that she painted for her cover. So Miriam really depicted all of the insects' interactions in their ecological ecosystem. She painted the eggs, the cocoon in this case, because it's a moth, and then the adult moth. She also depicted the moth caterpillar there. So here is her wreath for the cover of the book, and on this beautiful wreath, she includes various insects like the beetles, the flies, ladybugs, bees, and importantly, bees, butterflies, moths, bats, hummingbirds are all amazing pollinators, so they really help our flowers and our crops grow. So here's her first painting in the Caterpillar Book. So her Caterpillar Book is the second book, and this is a moth. So she's drawing the moth caterpillar, the cocoon, and the moth. So moths are clothed from cocoons, which are made of external silk. They spin silk around them, and that's an external process where butterflies emerge from chrysalides, from the chrysalis, and that is from an internal process, so it comes from within them. Moths are also active at night. They are nocturnal, where butterflies are active in the day with the sun, so they're diurnal. And moths have feathery antennae or filaments, where butterflies have filaments antennae with knobs at the tips. Also, moths' wings are a little duller in coloration, where butterflies' wings are more brightly colored. And here is another moth. And this almost looks like a type of green inchworm moth caterpillar. And then here's the pupa, the cocoon. So another name for a cocoon or a chrysalis is a pupa. And then here's the moth. And then here's another moth. And see here, she's depicting the eggs, the moth caterpillars. And moth caterpillars are usually very hairy. They've got a lot of little hairs and bristles. And butterfly caterpillars are usually smooth, or they can be spiky like the Gulf fritillary caterpillar. And then she's drawing the cocoons, and then the adult moth. And then here are some flying insects like flies. Here's another moth. And this almost reminds me of buttercup or something in that family. And buttercups are common garden weeds. However, they're very beneficial because a lot of moths and butterflies use our garden weeds as host plants. And they can be great nectar sources too, the flowers. And this almost looks like a tussock moth caterpillar because it has really thick tufts of hair. And this is a cocoon and then the moth. And this reminds me of a daffodil. And daffodils are another common garden weed. However, they're very beneficial because some moths and butterflies use them as host plants, or they're a good nectar source. Here's another one. And on this one, Marian is depicting the moth emerging or closing from the cocoon. So see the little opening there where the moth came out of? And on this one, you can also notice how the moth's antennae, the filaments, are very feathery, where butterflies' antennae filaments are smooth with knobs at the tips. Also, the moth's bodies are usually thicker and fuzzier, where butterflies are usually more slender, and moths have a wing hooking structure called the frenulum, which connects all of their wings, almost like a fan, where butterflies don't have a frenulum. Here's another one. And this moth has what's called eye spots, false eyes. So eye spots are meant to look scary, like bat eyes or owl eyes. They're meant to scare away predators. So they're a defense mechanism. And this is a butterfly. This is actually a comma butterfly. So way back then in the 1600s and 1700s, they still had comma butterflies. That's amazing. And you can actually see the comma mark on the underside of the wing. And the wing edges are very edgy, like jagged-like, and they blend in really well with the tree bark. And she's also drawing the caterpillar hanging upside down in J. So like the monarch caterpillars hang upside down in J right before they pupate, right before they form their chrysalis. They hang upside down in J like that because they use gravity so that when the butterfly emerges from the chrysalis, it helps their wings dry better. And then she's also drawing the chrysalis, which is almost, it reminds me of a dried leaf. It's for camouflage. And then the butterfly emerges from the chrysalis. Then here's a moth. Another one. And notice how the moth caterpillar has a lot of hairs, like bristles, and then here's the cocoon and the moth. And then she's also drawing a type of bee or fly right there. Here's another moth. And the moth cocoon is egg-shaped on the outside with fuzziness or kind of silk. And then on the inside is like a hard shell, like it almost reminds me of a seashell. And on this one, she's drawing, if you look closely, the eggs, and then here's the caterpillar, and then the cocoon, and then the moth. So she's portraying the whole insect's life, the complete transformation, metamorphosis from eggs all the way to the adult insect flying stage, the moth. So here is a moth, a caterpillar. It looks almost like an inchworm. And then she's drawing flies. And here is a cocoon. And here is an interesting looking moth. And then this almost looks like tomatoes, and that's a moth. And notice its eye spots on the wings. So those are those false eyes. They're meant to look scary like bat eyes or owl eyes. And then this is a butterfly. So notice the eggs and the caterpillar and then the chrysalis. And the chrysalis is like a dried leaf and it's hanging upside down. And then she's even drawing the butterfly emerging from the chrysalis. And then here's the adult butterfly. And this reminds me of a peacock butterfly, which is a type of European butterfly. And the butterfly's antennae filaments are thin with a knob at the tip, so like little clubs. And here, this plant reminds me of maybe a type of grape or blueberry. And some moths, like this one, use blueberries or grapes as their host plants. And you can see how the cocoon, the inside of it, is very hard and pointed. It reminds me of a seashell. Then here's an iris, and this is a type of moth. So she's drawing the eggs, the caterpillar, the cocoon, and the moth. So Miriam really does an exceptional job painting in watercolors the whole insect's life from eggs all the way to the adult flying insect stage. And by the way, Miriam raised butterflies and moths from eggs all the way to their adult stage. And it's incredible. Here's another one. And this sort of reminds me of the mint moth, which likes mint, even though this is on a flower. And host plants can also be great nectar sources because some host plants, for example, milkweed has flowering blooms on it. So the blooms are a great nectar source for butterflies, moths, and other pollinators like bees and so forth. Here's another one. And on this one, she's drawing a fly. So she really paints the ecological interactions with the local ecosystem. Here's a moth. And here's a butterfly. This butterfly reminds me of one in the Red Admiral or Painted Lady family. And so here are the eggs, the caterpillar, the chrysalis, which is hanging upside down, and then the emerging butterfly. And then she's also drawing a little fly down here. And here's one. This is a moth, and notice how the caterpillar is very hairy, has a lot of bristles, and then here's the cocoon. She's showing the outer part of the cocoon, which is egg-shaped and covered in silk, and then she's also showing the inside of the cocoon, which is very hard and pointed and usually black, and it reminds me of a seashell. And then here's the adult moth, and it must be a female moth because she's so detailed that she's showing the moth laying some eggs right here. And then here's another one, and this moth caterpillar is very interesting and unique. It has tufts of hair, so it must be a type of tussock moth, and it has a feathery horn at one end. And then here's another moth, and she's even showing the eggs, then the caterpillar right here, and then she's showing how the inside of the cocoon is. And another name for cocoon or a chrysalis is pupa. So she's really showing what the inside of it looks like. And then here's the adult moth and a fly. And then here's a butterfly. So here's the butterfly eggs and caterpillar, and chrysalis and butterfly. And this looks like a type of maybe comma or question mark butterfly, or it could be in the painted lady family. And then here is another one, another moth. And then here's another moth one. And then here's another moth. And notice the cocoon right there, the pupa, and then the moth. Here's another moth. And here she's also showing the inside of the cocoon. So here's the outer part, and then here's that inner hard part, the pointy part that looks like a seashell, and then the adult moth. Here's another one. And here she's showing a ladybug. Ladybugs are beneficial insects. And then she's drawing some flies and a caterpillar, so various insects, and maybe even a wasp. And wasps are predators to butterflies. And then here's another moth. And here she's showing the inside of the cocoon. And then here's the adult moth. Here's another moth. And this is a very interesting moth caterpillar. See how it's very furry, but it also reminds me of like a slug, the shape of it, and then the cocoon, and then the moth. Here's some more. And here's some more moths. And here are some various insects, and they're all flying around. She's showing the eggs, the caterpillar, cocoon, and the moth. Here's another one. And notice all these hairy bristles on the moth caterpillar. Wow, look at this one. This is a type of hawk moth. So here are the eggs, the caterpillar, and then the cocoon. So she's showing the inner part of the cocoon, the seashell-like thing, and then the outer part. And then here's the adult moth. And here's the caterpillar up here. And then here's another type of hawk moth. So here's the eggs and the caterpillar. The caterpillar has a horn at one end, and then the cocoon, and then the adult moth. And notice its curly tongue right there. That is its proboscis, and that's what butterflies and moths use to absorb nectar. Here's another moth. And another one. And wow, these moth antennae filaments are very feathery, but they also remind me of like lobster claws too. Here's another moth. And another one on a carnation. And here she's also showing a great depiction of the whole life cycle, from eggs and then caterpillars and cocoons and then the moths. And here she's showing several caterpillars and several cocoons. And then here's a type of insect right there. And then this one. And here she's also showing their transformations from eggs and cocoons, caterpillar, cocoon, and then the adult flying insect. And then this reminds me of a blueberry plant or something like it, and that's a moth. So this is almost like a tussock moth caterpillar, and it's got a lot of hairy bristles on it, and then different cocoons, and then the adult moth. And then here's some more. And in this one, this reminds me of like a Polyphemus moth. So see the eye spots right there on the wings? They look like eyes, don't they? And then here's a butterfly. So this butterfly looks kind of like a cabbage white butterfly. It's white with a little bit of yellow on the wings, and it's got 2 black spots on the forewings. Every butterfly and moth has 4 wings, 2 forewings and 2 hind wings. So here this butterfly has the eggs, and then the caterpillar, and then the chrysalis, which is camouflaged like a leaf, and then the adult butterfly. And notice how the butterfly's antennae or filaments have little knobs at the tips. And then here's a butterfly. And this butterfly is like a red admiral butterfly, and Miriam is depicting the eggs and the caterpillar and the chrysalis. And you see this little stick-like appendage at the top? That is called the cremaster. And that's what the caterpillar uses to insert the chrysalis to attach it to the leaf so that the chrysalis can hang securely from the leaf or whatever surface it's on until it becomes a butterfly. And then here's a moth. And another moth. So moths are usually duller in color, where butterflies are usually more brightly colored. Here's another one. And another one. And here's some type of flying insect. So that is Miriam's second book, The Caterpillar Book, written in 1683. Now I'd like to share with you Miriam's third book, called Insects of Suriname, written in 1705. So Insects of Suriname was a book Miriam wrote, and she and her daughter took a voyage down to a Dutch colony in South America called Suriname. And there, Miriam painted all of the insect and animal life that she could find. She also relied on local knowledge there, and she raised insects from eggs all the way to adult butterflies or moths. And she really painted and depicted the insects' interactions and ecological connections with the local ecosystem. She also very well showed their insect transformations from egg to the adult butterfly or moth stage. So let's take a look at Insects of Suriname, her third book. So here is her original title page, and this was from 1705. So here is her first painting, her first plate, and Miriam painted all of her paintings using watercolors. So remember how she paints the whole entire ecosystem? Well, here's a pineapple and a moth, and interestingly, cockroaches. And she's drawing some coming out of eggs. So she's really portraying the whole insect life, the whole metamorphosis. Here's her next one, also a pineapple. So remember how South America is a tropical area? A lot of these butterflies in this book will be tropical butterflies or tropical moths. So here's a butterfly. And then here, this one says custard apple and Moscosa sphinx moth. So in this previous painting, I'll go back to the first one. On this first painting, it says Australian cockroach and German cockroach on a pineapple. And then the next painting says scarce bamboo page butterfly, so that's this butterfly, and then the lady beetle, so that's these little guys right there. And all of these are her notes, her observations. So she was also a scientist, an entomologist, self-taught. She studied the insects and their ecological interactions. And then this is the custard apple and the Moscosa sphinx moth. So this moth, she's drawing the caterpillar, and then the cocoon, and then the moth. And wow, look at this lizard. So she's drawing the white peacock butterfly. And white peacock butterflies are found in Florida and other parts of the eastern United States. So it's really amazing how the butterflies back then are still here today. And then she's also drawing a plant called the gold tegu, and then the manioc. So she's drawing the plants, the host plants, nectar plants, and anything in the local ecosystem there. And so there's the white peacock butterfly, and there's the caterpillar, the chrysalis, and the butterfly, and the lizard. Lizards are also predators to butterflies, so she's definitely capturing the whole picture. And you can even see the leaf holes where the caterpillar has eaten. And then here, oh my goodness, she's drawing a snake. So here is a Tetrio sphinx moth. So that's its caterpillar, and that's its eggs. And then here is a snake, an Amazon tree boa. And then here is a, let's see, it says a Melippa nabasa, so that is a moth, and that is a very interesting moth caterpillar. Wow. And see, there's its cocoon, and there's another moth right there, and another cocoon, and a very spiky moth caterpillar right there. And wow, look at this beautiful butterfly. So this is a Barbados cherry plant, and this is the butterfly caterpillar and the Diademia morpho butterfly. So look at the beautiful intricate wing patterns and the designs, and how she beautifully illustrates it with scientific accuracy and precision. And wow, look at this, a red cracker plant, and it looks like these are butterflies. So look at all of the butterfly caterpillars, the chrysalis, and then the adult flying insects, the butterflies. Oh, and look at this beautiful butterfly. It's on a pomegranate plant. And then this is the banded sphinx caterpillar right here. And then here is the Menelaus blue morpho butterfly. So she's really depicting the whole insect metamorphosis, the whole transformation. And then here she's drawing and painting Pima cotton plant. And then the gold drop Helicopsis butterfly. So here's the butterfly up here. It's the yellow one, and it has a long tail on it. And then she's also drawing a moth down here, and a caterpillar, and then here's a butterfly chrysalis, and then that butterfly. And then she's drawing leaf holes where the caterpillars have eaten. So she's drawing the host plants and then the nectar plants. And here is a purple coral tree. So here is a moth up here, and that is its cocoon. That's its caterpillar. And wow, look at the spikes on that caterpillar. And then this is a banana. These are bananas. So there's a moth, and there's the caterpillar. And wow, look at this, the yellow mombin. And these look like butterflies. So here she's drawing the butterfly caterpillar at the top, and then it's got some spikes on it, and then she's drawing the chrysalis and then the butterflies. And then on this one, she's drawing a custard apple plant and a white flannel moth. Whoa, look at its proboscis. It's like a spiral, almost like a coil there. And there's the cocoon, the caterpillar, and whoa, look at that moth caterpillar there. It's got a horn on it. And one of these moths is the Duponchil's sphinx moth. Wow. She really painted something amazing. And this is watermelon. And here's an interesting caterpillar, and there's a cocoon and a moth. And then here is Mexican lime and Anchises cattle heart. And this is a butterfly. Perhaps it could be in the black swallowtail family. And it's got a chrysalis right here. Oh, here are the eggs, the caterpillar, the chrysalis, and the butterfly. So a lot of the butterflies back then in the 16 and 1700s, we still have those kinds of butterflies or ones like them today. That's pretty cool. And then, whoa, look at this intricate spider web and the spiders. Wow. So this is a ruby topaz hummingbird and an army ant. So it's got army ants in here. So she's got ants crawling up here. Look at all these spider webs and spiders. Wow. And it looks like there's some eggs right there, and maybe even a tarantula. And, oh, here's the hummingbird. So the spider and other insects are eating on the hummingbird. So she's trying to capture the cycle of life. And even though it's very sad, that's nature. And then here are butterflies. So this is a spotted amberwing and guava plant. So here are the butterflies. Oh, and this is a moth right here. It's nectaring on some fruit. And here's a moth cocoon. Oh, that's a very fuzzy caterpillar. And there's another caterpillar. It's eating holes. Oh, and there's an insect up there. And there's a chrysalis. So the butterfly right here came out of that chrysalis. So she's painting a lot right there. And then this is the gumbo limbo tree and white witch. And this is a moth right here. And this is a caterpillar and the cocoon. Wow, look at that. Isn't that amazing? And look at the leaf holes, just all the details that were captured. And then here is passion flower. So passion flower is a host plant for the Gulf fritillary butterfly. And here is the leaf-footed plant bug. So all these little flies. And then here's a caterpillar and several different cocoons in different places on here. And then the moths. So she's drawing the host plants, the caterpillars, the cocoons or the chrysalis, and then the butterflies or the moths, as well as various animals and other insects. So it's very fascinating and educational. This is a Barbados lily. It almost reminds me of an amaryllis. And then this is a type of moth and a type of flying insect. And whoa, look at that caterpillar. It's got some funky little spikes on it. And the cocoon. And then this is a banana and rainbow whiptail. So here's a lizard, some eggs, and a chrysalis, and then a butterfly. See the butterfly? And then this is the Mexican prickly poppy, right here, the flower. And she's even drawing some beetles and then some caterpillars. Check out those beetles. And wow, here's a beautiful butterfly. So this is flat-leaved vanilla plant and the Gulf fritillary. Oh my goodness, we have those. So there's the caterpillar, there's the chrysalis, and there's the Gulf fritillary butterfly. So think of it, way back in the 16 and 1700s, they still had these butterflies we have today. Isn't that cool? And then here she's drawing a little fly and the little larvae, the fly larvae, and then it becomes a fly. Wow, isn't that cool? And then here is a cocoa plant and then a southern armyworm. So here's the caterpillar and the moth, oh, and the cocoon there, and another cocoon. And then here is a type of fruit. So she's got various fruits on here. It almost looks like when it's cut open, a pear. And then a leaf mantis. Wow, so that interesting green bug must be a leaf mantis. And then she's got caterpillars up here, a cocoon there, a moth there. Oh, and here's another type of interesting insect on the side there. And then this is citron plant and a monkey slug larva and then a harlequin beetle. Wow, check out all these amazing insects. And up here is a cocoon, a moth, some kind of beetle, and wow. Isn't that amazing? And then here, this is a pomelo in the citrus family, and then a urania moth. Wow. And this up here, it looks like a butterfly, so it's got long tails on it. And when butterflies have tails, it means it's used as a defense mechanism, as a distraction. So for example, Georgia's state butterfly is the eastern tiger swallowtail, and it has long tails too, like this butterfly. And when birds see it and may try to get the wings of the butterfly, at least it would maybe only get those long tails of the butterfly and not the butterfly's main wings. So butterflies are very intelligent. All creatures are. And then this is castor oil tree. So these are butterflies. So she's showing the chrysalis, the caterpillar, and oh my goodness, even a moth. So isn't that cool? And then here, she's showing a cotton rose mallow and a queen swallowtail. So check out this swallowtail. Isn't that beautiful? And then here is the coffee senna plant and the split-banded owlet butterfly. So there's the caterpillar, and check out those horns. And then the chrysalis and the butterfly. And look at the butterfly's beautiful wing patterns and the curly tongue, the proboscis, which it uses to get nectar, sugary liquid from flowers. And then here is the fig tree and the fig sphinx moth. So here's the caterpillars, the cocoon, and the sphinx moth. Wow, and check out their very long proboscis. It's like a long tube, and what it does, it functions like a sponge. It absorbs the nectar. And then, wow, this is a grapevine. Look at the grapes. And then the gaudy sphinx moth. So here's another sphinx moth. And here's the caterpillar, and then a cocoon, and the moth. And the moth on their wings has blue, yellow, and orange. Isn't that interesting? And then here is the Sophori owl and the eagle clearwing. So she's showing various butterflies here. And this is a pink or coral colored caterpillar. That's awesome. She's showing some chrysalis and butterflies, everything. This is like a story right here. And then this is the giant sugarcane borer. And so she's drawing a butterfly and the caterpillar, the chrysalis, which is hanging upside down, and another butterfly. She's even drawing a moth down here, and some cocoon and some various flying insects. And notice how on the caterpillar's legs, she's showing on the tips of each leg are these little gripping hooks, little suction cups called crotchets. And that's what the caterpillar uses to hold on to the leaf or their silk pad for security. And then this is Roselle in the hibiscus family, and then a fall webworm. So this is a type of moth, and there's the caterpillar and the cocoon. And then here, oh my goodness. Okay, listen at this. Bellyache bush. Wow. And then the Cecilia's meadowlark. Whoa, check out this moth. Look at the long proboscis right here. Isn't that something? Whoa. And the cocoon and the caterpillar, it has a horn on it. Oh, and then she's even drawing a butterfly over here. And here's a chrysalis up here. Wow, everything's happening. And then primrose willow, here's the plant, and then the banded sphinx moth. So check this out. This is like a pink cocoon. Whoa, and then the caterpillar, and then the moth. That's amazing. And then this is a papaya. And then here is a moth. So here's the funky caterpillar and the cocoon. And oh, up here is a butterfly coming out of the chrysalis and a little caterpillar. Oh, and the moth is getting some nectar from the fruit there. And this caterpillar has a lot of like very long hairs on it, and she's even showing the cocoon on what it looks like on the inside there, how it's broke open. And then here's a sweet potato, and then a melon worm, and then a giant big-legged bug. Wow, so there's the sweet potato and a flower, and here's some various moths and various caterpillars and insects. Oh, there's a cocoon. So, the circle of life. And then here is musk okra plant, and then the Tetrao sphinx moth. So, here's the moths and the caterpillars, the cocoons, and then this is the Glaucolaeus kite swallowtail butterfly. So that's a type of swallowtail butterfly. Notice how it has long tails, and then it has, here's the caterpillar and the chrysalis, and it's attached to the leaf stem there. And here's the fruit. And notice the butterfly's antennae have knobs or clubs at the tips, and how the wings are brightly colored with intricate wing patterns and the long tail. And the curly tongue, the proboscis. And then here is the achiote plant, and then the Phidias firetip, and that is a moth. So, wow. Oh, and here's a butterfly even, nectaring on the fruit. And check out this funky looking caterpillar. It's got a lot of hairs protruding from it. And there's the moth up there, and another caterpillar and a cocoon. And then here is the Pride of Barbados plant, and then the tobacco hornworm. So this is the hornworm caterpillar, and you may be familiar with them in your tomatoes. Like the tomato hornworm, it's got a horn on the end of it, and then, whoa, check out that proboscis on the moth. So that is how long its proboscis is, and it's like its tongue, and it's going into the flower to get nectar. And then this is royal jasmine plant, the Amazon tree boa. So, whoa, here's a snake coiled up at the bottom of the plant there. And then the Aloe sphinx moth. So, whoa, a lot is happening here. We've got a snake, we've got a cocoon, a caterpillar with a horn on it, and a moth with a very coiled proboscis. So, that's the cycle of life right there. And then here is grapevine and the vine sphinx moth. So here's the caterpillar. Again, it's really horny. And then the cocoon, which is very hard and pointy and reminds me of a seashell. And then here's another cocoon, another caterpillar. And then here are the moths. And look, that moth at the top is pink and green. And that looks like a grape, some grapes. And then this is genup tree, palm weevil, and Hirschbach. So we've got some beetles here, maybe a type of bee, looks like a bumblebee, and a very interesting caterpillar with tufts of hair coming from it. We've got some cocoons there, and wow, that is some type of moth or other adult flying insect there, and its mouth parts look like pinchers, like a crab or lobster or something. Wow. Okay, this is called Sundown cicada. Check out these cicadas. Whoa, that's phenomenal. And then this is a peanut-headed lanternfly. Wow. So the lanternflies, I wonder if they're kind of like today's fireflies. That's pretty cool. And it says right here, Miriam depicts here 2 peanut-headed lanternflies in flight. Another specimen, its wings folded, waves down the tip of a flowering pomegranate spray. The name lanternfly is based on the erroneous assumption that the insect's bichrome head glows like a lantern. Miriam has also shown a flying cicada at the top there, which are of the species Phytacina mannifera, commonly known as a sundown cicada. It was very difficult for her to catch these cicadas as they can maneuver with great agility. It proved much easier to capture some specimens in the quiescent nympha stage shortly before molting. At the center, the naturalist has included a specimen of a cicada in the nympha stage. Miriam was able to observe the final molt of this sort of beetle, as she put it. Quote, "Then the skin burst open down the back and green flies with transparent wings emerged." On the largest flower of the pomegranate spray, Miriam has depicted an insect that may not exist. She believed what the inhabitants of Suriname told her about lanternflies developing from cicadas. One even imagines her assistants playing a practical joke on her by putting parts of these very different insects together. Wow. And then here is moonflower and giant metallic Seba borer, as well as Zuckerkäfer. So here are some interesting flying insects, kind of scary looking, and maybe a cocoon up there. Wow, check out this insect. It almost has like eyes down there. Wow. And then here are, check this out, ice cream bean plant and apricot sulfur butterfly. Oh, so we've got a sulfur butterfly. Yay, we have those today. And then here is the Seville orange and the Rothschildia orotata. And this is a moth and a cocoon caterpillar. And check out the wings there. It's got pink, brown, and white, and tan. Oh, and a butterfly. So this is the Pleiades blue morpho butterfly and the Gulf fritillary. Awesome, we have both of those today. Yay. So here's the blue morpho butterfly at the top, and then the Gulf fritillary chrysalis down here. Isn't that cool? And then the heliconia plant and potter wasps. So we've got some wasps down here and their larvae. Another name for caterpillars is larvae. And then their pupa, and then the adult flying insects. And wasps are predators to butterflies. And then here we have cherry pepper and tobacco hornworm and a 5-spotted hawk moth. So we've got some peppers and then a caterpillar, the hornworm, see the horn on it? And then a cocoon and a moth. And check out the proboscis, the curly tongue. And then we have here the common water hyacinth and a veined tree frog. Wow. And then a giant water bug. So here's a frog in the water down here. And then here's an interesting insect. And perhaps, oh, here are tadpoles and eggs. Whoa. And then an interesting adult flying insect at the top. So Marian is really capturing the whole of insect and animal life. And then here is guava plant and another tobacco hornworm. So here's a hornworm caterpillar, some cocoons, and then a moth. Whoa, check out that insect there. Very fuzzy. Wow, look at that. And then here we have, oh, the cloudless sulfur butterfly. So here's the sulfur butterfly at the top. And see, oh, she's showing a caterpillar hanging upside down, getting ready to pupate to form its chrysalis. So see how the caterpillar is getting ready to attach itself to the leaf? And then here's the chrysalis. And the chrysalis is pointed upwards. And it's attaching itself to the leaf. Almost it has like arms on it. And then here is the cloudless sulfur butterfly. So we have those today. And then here is a shoreline purslane plant and the common Suriname toad. So here's a toad. Isn't that cool? Oh, and a seashell, and another seashell, and another little baby toad. So we've got frogs, toads, all kinds of animals and insects. And then look, this is Cardinal's Guard plant and the Idomeneus giant owl butterfly. Wow, check that out. Look at all of the caterpillars. And here's a cocoon and an adult flying insect. And look at that, the eye spots on the wings. They're meant to look really scary. And then here's a caterpillar. So that is Insects of Suriname, Marian's third book, written in 1705. I'd like to read you a quote by Marian. She writes, "From my youth onwards, I have been concerned with the study of insects, in which I began with silkworms in my native city, Frankfurt am Main, in Germany. Then I observed butterflies and moths that developed from caterpillars other than silkworms, which led me to raise all the caterpillars I could find in order to study their metamorphosis. I devoted myself to these investigations. At the same time, I wished to become proficient in the skill of painting in order to paint and describe them from the life." Maria Sibylla Marian, 1647 to 1717, naturalist, entomologist, self-taught, painter of insects and flowers, discoverer of butterflies and moths' metamorphoses. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.